Hi, I'm Lynn Jones, and I'm the group leader this week for discussion board 11, George Herbert. Overall, the group had basically the same ideas and answers for all the questions. They just worded them differently and added their own little spin on them. But overall, the discussion boards were pretty lengthy. There had a lot of good ideas in them. But I think overall, as a group, everyone did really well on this one. I found that the interpretations of each one were different, but they were similar in the way that I would read one and they would express the same ideas as another, but it wouldn't seem that way because everyone had their own spin on it and their own way of saying things. So overall, it was good. But for question 1, describe the dramatic situation, paying special care to describing how the speaker relates to God at the beginning and the end of the poem. Overall, everyone on this one described it as the man doesn't want to be held down by religion, and the caller is constraining him. And the poem was basically about this guy, the minister, who felt really restrained by his religion, and he just wanted to basically go out and do whatever he wanted, and because he felt trapped by his religion. And he felt like he couldn't do anything, so he wanted to make up for that by doing a lot of stuff. And Kelsey wrote about how the book said to double his pleasures, and I found that interesting because I didn't notice that when we read the book, so that part was from Kelsey. Okay, for question 2. Given that the poem is written from the point of view of a Protestant minister, explain the significance of connotation of the word fruit in line 17. In the book, it says, no flowers, no garlands gay, all blasted, all wasted, not so my heart, but there is fruit. Everyone found the same meaning as this, obviously. Everyone basically put that it was representing sin, and like in the story of Adam and Eve, when they had the apple from the Garden of Eden, and they weren't supposed to take it, and the apple represented sin basically, and God told them not to take the apple and they could live a great life, and that was the one rule that they had, and they broke that rule, and so therefore the world didn't turn out the way that it was supposed to, and they created the first sin. And so basically that's what he's saying, is like there's sin, that he can do all these things, but there's still sin in the world, and we can't get around that. And no matter how hard he tries and no matter how hard it works for God, there's still sin. Okay, question 3. The symbolic title suggests a clerical collar has become a slave's collar. Also punningly the speaker's collar, and perhaps the collar that he has at last hears. Explain why Herbert would witty pun on this word, given the thematic context of the poem. How does it contribute to the theme and its central paradox? Overall, everyone basically said that this poem was about how the collar in the story, one worn by the Protestant minister, represented a restraint on him and a restraint from his religion. The collar represented his religion and how he felt trapped in it, because he was wearing a collar like a dog, and he felt that he couldn't do anything, and he was restrained. And when you wear a collar, you're like an animal, and they're held back or protected from something. And I think in a way that's what God is doing. That's what that collar represents in a way. He feels like he's restraining by his religion or God. Part 2. This is over the story Love now. Number 1, describe the dramatic situation. Overall, everyone thought that the story was about how the narrator just had entered heaven and he doesn't feel worthy of God's love or worthy to even be there, but then God reassures him that he can be there and that he doesn't judge at all, and so he's worthy. Question 2. In what ways does the thematic resolution of the poem resolve conflicts described concerning man and God in the collar? What do you think Herbert chose this as his last poem in his collection? Basically, everyone thought that it resolves it. It's the last one because it's like Judgment Day. Like, he's going up there and he thinks he's not worthy. He thinks all of these, like, he is such a terrible person for even thinking that he could be worthy of God's love. And then he gets up there and basically God relieves him of all this and relieves him of his worries. And I think that, well, not I think, but the group as a whole thought that this was reassuring that God's gonna forgive you, and that's why he put it as his last poem, to reassure himself from before and all the rest of the poems that it was gonna be okay, and in the end, if you followed God's way and followed his will and what he wants us to live, then we were gonna be okay. So that was basically all the discussion boards, and overall, again, the group did very excellent. All the posts were very different and very interesting to read. It was not a hard time to do this assignment. Thank you.